Hello and welcome to another episode of Milesh and Sadie Property Talks, Smart Investments, Beautiful Spaces. And we are here for episode number 5, I think this is.
Yeah,
which is
like
pretty impressive. So a quick intro before we get started. Hi, I'm Sadie. I am an interior designer. I have a design firm called Sadie Pizzey Interiors. We work with homeowners, commercial clients and property investors. And we specialise in renovation and construction projects. And that is because my background is in property flipping. And so therefore I love a building site. And that's where my knowledge and my skill set is. Milesh.
Hello. So I'm Milesh Lakhani, property investor, developer, and more recently network host and one-to-one consultant. So I started way back in 2001, been full-time since 2016. I've got a range of investments, buy-to-lets, HMOs, planning gain deals, assisted sales. We've done a lot of stuff over the years. More recently, focusing on the Property Edge, which is a monthly network meeting, which we hold in Farnborough. And also I do one-to-one consulting, so Property Edge consulting, working with individuals who want to either start or increase their property portfolios.
And today we are going to be chatting about outside influences and how to respond. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so this kind of, it's more of a general thing around, we've got there's common influences, outside influences that people face, we face.
Yeah.
So it's just an opportunity to have a chat about those.
Yeah.
So I guess the biggest one, or one of the first ones, is the market.
Yeah.
So how does the market changes, or do market changes impact you and your work? And general kind of vibe feelings that you're seeing?
Yeah, so market changes, obviously, in terms of how the market's doing. Yeah, I mean, it can really stop people in their tracks. So we obviously see less people buying and selling property, and people can also stop, renovating, because they're kind of, it almost becomes something that really hinders you and you don't know how to move forward. So the most obvious thing that a lot of people do is like, well, we'll just hold off. We just won't do it right now. And that is really challenging. I mean, it's challenging for us professionally, but I think it's challenging for the world, really, because everything just becomes, stilted.
Yeah. And I think, what does market movement mean, right?
Yeah.
I suppose it's noise.
Yeah.
We've got renters' rights bill coming up in due course.
Yes.
You've got interest rates that are changing. You've got just a general rhetoric with landlords at the moment and developers. And so it can cause people to just kind of regroup and sometimes stop even.
Yeah.
And it's about how we kind of deal with that, really.
It's true, because at the moment, from an outsider, it looks like a very challenging time as an investor.
Yeah, I think my summary on it is that property's never been easy, but it's harder today than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And I fell into the trap, being honest, of looking back at when I was doing stuff in, 5, 6, 9 years ago and comparing it to today.
Yeah.
And expecting it to almost be the same. Well, that's not realistic. And so you've got to catch yourself when you're kind of going into that sort of mindset and go, do you know what? What is the landscape today?
Yeah.
What do I need to do differently today to make sure that, deals are still stacking and working? And that might be around negotiation. It might be about what you're buying. Do you need to change your strategy a little bit, or do you need to do something related but different in the property space?
It's editing and pivoting, I guess, all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you've got to be close enough to what's going on to make an informed decision on how you go forward. But I feel like sometimes people don't even do that.
No, it can
and
paralyze
then you just get
people.
wrapped up in the noise.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I think obviously coming to the Property Edge network meeting is a great way of
it's all right, that's what I'd say.
Just being closer. Being closer, right? So I tend to do a bit of a market update, which just informs people about what's going on. Sadly, I like to understand what's going on and happy to share that. So for people turning up, they get a quick snapshot, 5, 10, 15 minutes on where the world's at the moment.
Yeah.
And what
But
they might need to do differently.
it's really helpful, even from, I'm not an investor, I'm obviously an interior designer, but even from my point of view, it's like understanding, okay, this is the challenges that everybody's facing at the moment, and really getting into the kind of nitty gritty of it.
And I guess it helps you to, when you're out of the room, resonate with clients, whether they're homeowners or investors, developers.
100%.
A bit of an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think staying close to it's really important. Don't let it overtake your thinking, because then you will be forced to stop.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that. I think people say, "Oh, it's never the right time." Well, it's always the right time if you're buying right.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And that's the critical thing. And then, that leads back to due diligence and strategy and planning and making sure that you're doing the right thing that serves you in the short, medium and long term as well.
Yeah.
So I think all of those factors kind of play into it. What, from a design perspective, do you see around outside influences? Naturally, social media is a big one,
because
massive. Like, that Pinterest thing you talk about and whatever.
The trend chat is something that's really hard, and that can be really hard for clients coming forward. Again, across all demographics, your homeowner, they are so worried that if they design a house that's so trend led that in 2-5 years it's not going to be in trend, or that they're not going to like it anymore. That can really sort of stilt people in their progression forward. And that's the same with developers. It's, they're really worried that, should we be completely designing something that's on trend now, or should we try and go with something that's more neutral? I would say that you do need to look at trends and market and how people are living. That bit is key. And I'll give you a kind of example of that. How people are using space, you need to understand, because that's how you're going to carve up your space.
And that's evolving.
That's evolving all the time. So if we look at probably even 15, 20 years ago, everybody wanted the separate kitchen, separate dining space. Then suddenly the trend was that we want that to be an open plan space.
Yeah.
Now the trend has gone even further, that we want to push out, make that big kind of like the everything room, where you have like a living space and a dining table and your kitchen area.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't follow that and you don't understand how people want to live, and you then decide that you're still going to have your kitchen and your dining, people aren't going to buy that. They're not going to want that. So you've got to pay attention. Like currently, people are taking it even further. The want for a separate pantry is really on trend, if you like, but it's what people want right now. So if you're a developer and you're looking at a luxury development, you might think about trying to sneak one of those in, because it's a wow moment that's going to sell your property. And that's the same with sort of your principal suites. I was saying, it used to be that just having an ensuite bathroom was enough, but now people want the dressing room. They want it to be this luxury, moment.
Nice. What about lockdown?
Yes.
How did that change?
Massively, because
trends?
Suddenly, obviously, everyone was working at home, and that hasn't changed. I mean, people have obviously gone back to the office, but it's very much the norm, isn't it? That 1 or 2 days a week you're going to work from home. Yeah. So that separate space is essential. And I think certainly as a parent, that everything room, although it's brilliant, you are suddenly like, but I need a separate room to escape the family.
Yeah.
And suddenly again, people are like, I love that I've got this open plan kitchen room, but I now want a snug where we can have a bit of dividing out.
Yeah.
So you're right, it chops and changes all the time, and you have got to pay attention to that. Less so, if it's your home and it's somewhere you're going to live for 20 years, then fine, carve it out how you want. But if you're thinking that you're going to keep it for 2 and be moving up that ladder like we've spoken about before, then you need to understand that just creating spaces that you want won't necessarily go with what the market wants.
Yeah, and staying current.
Yeah.
And that applies to how you design your house,
yes.
with the colours and the themes and all
yes.
that sort of stuff, right? Which is a whole nother...
It's a whole nother thing. And we are not trend-led as a design practice. The way we go with clients is once we've done our drill down chat, we've really understood everything about our clients. So then we create a design that is personal to them or their business or the demographic if it's for developers.
Yeah.
But it isn't about, green's in right now, so we will make sure that we have green kitchens everywhere. If we've understood that you love a connection to nature and that's the color palette that you're drawn to, then we'll bring those colors in. But if it's like you want bright neon pink and that's not on trend, then we're going to bring in bright neon pink. It has to be what works for you.
Yeah.
I guess it plays a little bit more for the developer that's going to be flipping, because if you're flipping quickly and you can bring in some of those trends, then that might be something that appeals to your buyer. So everything's measured, isn't it? You have to kind of look at everything and analyze it and make informed decisions. And I guess that's when you lean on your experts to lead you through.
So how quickly? So from a development perspective, if I'm looking at something now and I'm looking to convert or get planning and then build, it could take 18 months to 2 years. So are trends likely to change in that time, or would you recommend people go with kind of the stuff that's going to last?
Yeah, I think the trends in terms of how spaces are carved out, they seem to come in and then they last a while.
Yeah.
So it's unlikely that, say, suddenly in 6 months' time, no one's going to want to study, for example. But the trends in terms of your colours and your finishes, they can change a bit more. They're actually led a lot by the fashion industry.
Yeah.
So if you thought you were going to potentially be putting that back on the market in a year, 18 months' time,
and going green.
And go green.
I need a green top, by the way.
You obviously do, yeah. You could look at what the fashion industry are putting out at the moment and know that, okay, in 6 months, that's going to filtrate down to the interior industry, if you really wanted to. But I, again, would be like, caution with that. You do not want to be completely going with what is on trend. You want to be putting in stuff that is timeless. It's about timeless design, stuff that will appeal to, whatever the demographic is.
Yeah.
And that demographic is really important, because if you are potentially selling to a family, then the finishes and the layouts are going to be very different to if you're selling to retirees, So you've got to understand, who do you think your end user is going to be, and then carve out and design the space that's to them. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it's really interesting. So let's talk about social media.
Yes.
As a theme, because that touches both of our worlds.
Oh gosh, 100%. I mean, it really does. It's huge in both of our worlds, isn't it?
Yeah. So social media is here to stay.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be on it if they're thinking about it from a business perspective. How has it impacted your work over the last, since it's been around?
I mean,
good and bad.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's both, right?
It is. I mean, it's good in terms of, often it's quite helpful if clients come and they've got some design ideas and they've seen it on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever. And that's, they already kind of know what they like and they don't like. And that's great. It's not realistic, because the shimmering finishing pictures that you see on Instagram are not reality. And actually, sometimes it doesn't work with the space that you've got. So you might, for example, see this incredible, paneled room in this elegant Victorian house with high ceilings. But if you've got a 1970s low ceilinged house, that will not translate. And so you can only take it with a pinch of salt. You really have to understand that the building you're working with and the end result that you want to create. So pinch of salt, little bits of it, but don't let it take over everything.
How do you manage that if clients have an expectation that's off the back of Instagram or Pinterest? Or whatever?
I think we're just really honest. We always say that the design process it's really collaborative. We want clients to bring ideas and we want them to be part of that design process. But we will say, look, we love that you want to put that in, but we don't think it's going to work here because of blah, 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 blah. Have you looked at this instead? I think it's trying to manage expectations.
And offering another alternative.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And explaining, it's giving the information and the education. It's explaining why this won't work, but why this would work. And I think that's what you get when you lean on experts. And I guess that's the advice to anyone, isn't it? I don't turn up on a building site and say, this is how I think the builder should build. I'm always leaning on them going, what do you think? Is this the right way? It's the same with a design expert. It's the same with you guys. If I was going to be creating a portfolio property, I want to lean on somebody who knows that whole journey and can lead me through it.
Yeah, so true. I think from my perspective, interest rates is a classic one.
Yes.
And then the other one is, how many properties do you own?
Okay.
I love that question.
Okay.
But let's go with interest rates first.
Okay,
so
fine.
Interest rates is, what the rate's doing. I'm just going to wait for them to go down to 4%, and then I'll start buying. Or, I've got refinances due. I'm just going to wait. It's a really difficult one, but again, it's about being close enough to it to try and best guess, because ultimately that's all it is, right?
Yeah.
Due diligence, which I love talking about.
Yeah.
All you're doing in due diligence is minimizing the risk. So be informed and then take a view based on your own situation. I think interest rates, so anyone who's looking to get in or is already buying will know this, but you need to factor in a tolerance level. So when you're assessing a deal that you might have found off Rightmove or an agent or whatever, your interest rate needs to be, we do all ours on 6.5%.
Okay.
Because that builds in a bit of fat.
God, 6.5, that's high.
Yeah, it is high.
Yeah.
We've always done 6%.
Okay.
From 2000 and whatever,
yeah.
15, 16 when
yeah.
we started. And back then the rates were around 3%. So now we've upped it to 6.5, which is a bit more realistic.
Yeah.
We know it's less fat than what it was before,
yeah.
but there's still a tolerance level in there. So if things do go the wrong way, then at least you know that you can fund it and you're not in a situation where your back's up against the wall with that particular deal or set of deals that you've got at those rates. So that's a really crucial thing as part of your due diligence, is when you're running your numbers, make sure that you're factoring in an interest rate that is over and above.
Yeah.
But you know that you're doing that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of lined up.
It's the same with renovation. We always say like 10 to 20% if you could contingency fund.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what we're going to find.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
100%.
It's a common phrase in property, right?
100%.
You just don't know.
That is so true. And I was going to say, in tricky times, there's always opportunity, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's arguably a good time to be buying.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the way the landscape is at the moment, with renters' rights coming in, loads of landlords are likely to, some have already started exiting the market because it's too much red tape. There's talks of national insurance on rents and inheritance tax, capital gains tax, all of those are going to be impacted potentially.
Yeah.
Some of it naturally is just the government kind of testing the waters to see how the response is and what people are responding with or whatever. And then, equally, you've got thousands of millionaires moving out of the country and going to overseas, Dubai or whatever. But all of that said, you've kind of got to understand that and then factor in kind of what works for you, really.
Yeah.
So there are external influences. Some of that are out of your control. Most of them are out of your control.
Yes.
But it's about how you respond to it. And whether that's social media, on seeing loads of people doing really pretty stuff.
How does social media affect your industry?
I think it's good. It's inspirational. It's motivational and everything else because you're seeing other people doing some really good stuff.
Yeah.
On the flip side, it can drag you down. Like, it is a lonely space. It can be a lonely space if you're in property. And when all you're seeing is look at how well I'm doing or other people, it can naturally make you feel a little bit overwhelmed by the whole thing and make you feel like you're not progressing as well as you could do or should do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah.
It's there to stay. I think you need to have a presence on there. How you present yourself on there is obviously individual to you, but I think if for no other reason but just to have a profile or a footprint, similar to websites, right?
Yes, yeah.
You need, if you meet somebody at networking or wherever, you need to know that if they look you up, what they get, you need to kind of control what they're going to see, and that will be: have you got a website? What social media platforms are you on? What sort of content are you sharing? All of that sort of stuff's important.
Yeah.
It does play a part, and in some ways not a great part. So from a finance perspective, I've seen people that have asked for private investment on social media, and when they're asking for lending through traditional lending routes, lenders are looking on social media, looking on websites.
Oh, really?
And where they're asking outright for money, lending's being pulled because you're not supposed to do that.
Oh, my goodness.
So it can have a detrimental impact on your business if you're not too careful. And if you don't understand the rules of what you should be doing around promoting finance raising.
I mean, I think
like
whatever you share on social media, needs to be done with caution. Like, be savvy about it.
Completely. Yeah. So we've covered quite a lot. So I think there's market trends, there's interest rates, there's design trends, and it's about how you respond to it.
It is. I think the thing is that it can be a real challenge, and it can really sort of create like you don't know how to move forward.
You can get into a bit of a frenzy.
You really can. And it's having the knowledge and the guidance to understand it and to weave your way through, I think.
Yeah. And ultimately move forward.
Yes. To stop is the worst.
Yeah. I think as investors, developers, certainly on the development side, the reason that all the team are there is because you found that opportunity.
Yeah.
So if there's problems, whether that's within the process or if there's an external market influence where interest rates crash or values drop or whatever it may be, you need to take guidance from your professionals and your team, but ultimately the decision's down to you, and it's about how you respond to that.
Yeah.
And I think your mindset plays a big part as well.
Yeah.
With that.
100%.
I think, having the right mindset when you're going into these things are critical. So if something goes wrong, then you could be all doom and gloom about it and get yourself worked up over it and not listen to your professionals or listen to your professionals too hard.
But I don't think you should go into property if you have that mindset, because problems are going to come at you left, right and centre. You can't avoid them. You have got to have a mindset of finding solutions.
Yeah. I think right. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a fair bit on trends.
A lot on trends.
External influences, they are there.
They're always going to
remain.
Yeah.
It's about being close enough to it to make informed decisions, due diligence, and move forward.
Always move forward. Lovely. Well, thank you for watching or listening. And we will be back next week for our final episode of this series, which is exciting. But please like, subscribe, leave a review, do all those things, and share. And we will see you next time.